A vision becomes a milestone when it helps make our lives richer with love and laughter. When it helps make a cleaner, smarter, and a more beautiful planet. So that you can set off on joyous new journeys and adventures. Building stronger bonds and bridging impossible distances, which take you from the ever new to the forever beautiful. Opening up vistas and windows to a vibrant new world. A vision becomes a milestone when it touches millions of lives. Aditya Birla Group. Big in your life.
Evolve is the core of positive change and adaptation. Evolve is the soul of the universe and is deeply connected to us and the actions around us. There will be one thing that will last forever: evolution. Be a part of the business evolution of India. WTC, World Trade Center, Delhi at Nauroji Nagar. And be a part of the global culture. We keep our accomplishments fresh and we keep innovating this space. We are driven by the Government of India's vision to drive growth for India. We had a dream to bring the best of the world to India. And we had the vision to create a majestic, holistic and exclusive reality. Be a part of one of India's largest commercial space revolutions. WTC, World Trade Center, Delhi at Nauroji Nagar. The World Trade Center offers exceptional connectivity to all parts of the city. It is closely connected to places like Lutyens, Delhi, and its proximity to the airport makes it even more appealing. A luxurious, upscale and 12 towers offering the most technologically advanced office space and modern features in the city. Meticulously planned and crafted 12 towers. A landmark project with a massive land span of over 34 lakh square feet area. Infused with all the modern amenities with intelligent designs, green spaces and high-end facilities. Built with a vision, planned for a greener today and tomorrow. Dedicated spaces for cultural activities, F&B courts, boardrooms, health centers, multi-layered securities and modern parking facilities, to name a few. With 24-hour security, state-of-the-art facilities and an impressive list of features for your business, there would be parking space for 8,000 cars. Our commercial office spaces will meet your needs to grow and expand. The spacious floor plans offers a unique, individualized workspace and ample natural light throughout the workday. All our locations in WTC will include state-of-the-art healthcare services, fitness centers, so you can get the most out of your workspace. A reality shaping, rising, shining and standing tall. The dream place for businesses and hospitality. A reflection of supremacy. A hub for businesses to flourish and thrive. Live the dream. Lead the way. Showcase, collaborate and succeed. Be a part of the business evolution. Be a part of global trade revolutions. Many big corporates have already marked their presence at WTC Delhi. Bookings are open. Book your space now.
It is a fact of life that every coin has two sides. In our case, people are just familiar with one, and that is of being a money lender to the railway sector. So here is an eye-opener. At Indian Railway Finance Corporation, we nurture millions of dreams. The dreams that are powered with new ideas, will and ambition to be on top of the world. We are committed to creating a conducive environment for the railway sector to grow unhindered. Right from planning to backing up its construction to modernization, funding of high-capacity wagons, coaches and high-speed locomotives,
औषधि केंद्रों पर मिलने वाली दवाओं की कीमत बाजार में जो दवाएं मिलती हैं उसी क्वालिटी की, लेकिन जन औषधि केंद्र में 50% से 90% तक उसकी कीमत कम होती है।
भारतीय जन औषधि परियोजना के अंतर्गत अब तक देश भर में हजारों जन औषधि केंद्र खोले जा चुके हैं, जहां पर 1800 से अधिक दवाइयां और 285 सर्जिकल उपकरण बहुत ही कम कीमतों पर उपलब्ध हैं। अधिक जानकारी के लिए जन औषधि सुगम मोबाइल ऐप को डाउनलोड करें या टोल फ्री नंबर 1800-180-8080 पर कॉल करें।
जोड़ना है तुझे ऊंचा, परों को खोल के रख, कसौटी वक्त की है, हौसलों को तोल के रख। ऊंची है दीवारें, लंबी है डगर, ना है हम राही, ना है हम सफर।
खरगोन हमारे R&R प्लान में लोग हर साल जो आसपास की ग्रामीण महिलाएं हैं उनको टेलरिंग का क्लास कराते हैं। जो स्कूल बैग्स भी हम लोग हर साल बांटते थे, 850-900 के लगभग स्कूल बैग्स भी बांटते थे, वो बैग्स भी हमने इनसे स्टिच कराए।
सक्षम बनना चाहते थे, हम हमारे पैरों पे खड़ा होना चाहते थे। तो हमने एक बार मीटिंग की, मीटिंग में बोला कि सर हम इतना कार्य सीखे हैं तो हमको दुकान खुलवा के दो, तो दुकान खुलवा के दिया।
हमको यहाँ दुकान मिलने के बाद हमने सोचा कि हम यहाँ जो भी कार्य करते हैं, जो भी चीज़ें बनाते हैं, उन चीज़ों पर हमारे ब्रांड का नाम क्या है, और हमने सोचा कि हम हमारे ब्रांड का नाम सब इसलिए रखा कि हम आगे बढ़े और हमें देखते महिला और लड़कियाँ भी आगे बढ़े।
अभी आगाज है तेरा, बहुत कुछ सीखना है, कमर कसनी अभी बाकी है, मुट्ठी भींचना है। अभी आगाज है तेरा, बहुत कुछ सीखना है।
हमने फिर इनको अपना एक जो हमारा गर्ल एम्पावरमेंट मिशन का एक प्रोग्राम होता है, उसमें उसके जो बालिकाएं थीं उनका ड्रेस भी हमने इन्हीं से स्टिच कराया, और वो प्रोग्राम में वो ड्रेसेस बहुत सक्सेसफुल थी, लोगों ने उनको बहुत अप्रिशिएट किया। नेक्स्ट लेवल पे हम ये प्लान कर रहे हैं कि इनको हम जो इंडस्ट्रियल स्टिचिंग मशीनें होती हैं वो हम इनको ला के देंगे। इन्हीं जो हमने इन बच्चों को जो ट्रेन किया है, दे विल बिकम, हमारा ये एक तरीके से एम्बेसडर का काम करें। और हमारा TPC का जो विज़न है कि हम पावर जनरेशन के साथ साथ हम आसपास के लोगों का भी केयर करते हैं, इसमें भी हम सफल हो पाएंगे। धन्यवाद।
इतिहास लिखने के लिए कलम की नहीं, हौसलों की जरूरत होती है।
थैंक यू NTPC खरगोन।
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand inauguration of the HT Leadership Summit. As we embark on this journey, we promise to take you beyond barriers. This year's summit is a celebration of the diverse voices, ideas, and innovations that transcend boundaries. Join us for a week of inspiring conversations starting today. We kickstart the HT Leadership Summit with a big newsmaker, Ashwini Vaishnaw, the Union Minister for Railways, Communications, Electronics and IT. He is a seasoned leader who started out at Prime Minister Vajpayee's office and went on to becoming an MP and finally the minister of one of the government's key areas. During his tenure, he's led the key legislation for data protection that's so key to India's digital framework. He joins us now for a conversation with HT's Editor-in-Chief, R. Sukumar.
Good evening and welcome to a session of the Hindustan Times Leadership Summit that I think is very, very apt given the theme of this year's conference. The theme for this year's summit is Beyond Barriers. And I can't think of one sector where India has consistently broken barriers and done things that are path-breaking than IT and telecom manufacturing. So I'm delighted that we have with us the IT, Telecom and Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw. who is got a very interesting profile. He's a technocrat, an engineer who went to an IIT, got an MBA, has worked in the private sector, but also a civil servant who went through the IAS and who's now a minister. So it's a very, very interesting profile, and I think it's an apt profile, especially given the times that we are in and given the challenges that we face in very, very key sectors. Mr. Vaishnaw, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to start by asking you about IT manufacturing, because I think this is one area where we've really, there was some promise that was shown in the 2000s, but it remained a promise. But I think over the last few years, there has just been so much consistent work done in this sector. If you look at mobile phones, if you look at IT hardware, I think there are very, very significant developments that are happening. So can you tell us what you think was the tipping point? What changed? What helped create an ecosystem for IT manufacturing in this country?
That's a very important point. Our country has so many good engineers. We are so good at design. We are designing for the world. Practically every large company in the world has a tech center in India. And that phenomenon, if we can translate into manufacture in India, it can be a phenomenal growth story. And that's what has happened in the last 9 years. The biggest difference was a stable policy regime, a clearly defined incentive regime, and a very clear focus on removing the unnecessary compliances. And the results speak for themselves. Electronics manufacturing 10 years back was practically a very small number. Today it has crossed $100 billion, which is 8 lakh crore plus. It's a big business today. Exports themselves within electronics manufacturing are today $23 billion plus. So that's a very large number. So electronics manufacturing is now contributing significantly to our export story also. If you look at mobile manufacturing, 98% of the mobile phones that we were using 10 years back were imported. Now 98% are made in India. So the Make in India program that our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji launched and consistently followed it up, one after the other, innovations were done in the entire system, simplification was done. That has laid this entire ground for very good mobile and very good electronics manufacturing. Today our exports in mobile itself has crossed $11 billion. Mobile manufacturing alone is $44 billion. So this is a phenomenal thing. We recently saw Google's announcement. Google has decided to manufacture its Pixel phone in India. The IT manufacturing firms who will be manufacturing servers and laptops, 40 plus are now already planning to set up their base in India. So it's complete spectrum of electronics manufacturing that is happening in India.
When you speak about manufacturing, the tendency is to, a lot of us end up looking at the end use products, right? But equally critical are critical equipment that go into the networks. So let's take 5G for instance, and any telecom equipment for instance. For the long time, this was the dominion of multinationals. And if you look at 5G, today we are in a position where India has done enough work to create its own 5G stack. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Telecom is an amazingly great turnaround story, I can say. 9 years back, if you spoke of telecom, the first thing that would come to your mind is the scam. That was the mindset which had already formed. The industry was bleeding. There was continuous litigation. Scenario was such that nobody would like to touch the telecom sector. That was the scenario 10 years back. Today, telecom has become a sunrise industry. I read a recent report where It said that hiring in telecom is growing at 20%. At 20% rate, hiring is growing in telecom. So that's the change which has happened in telecom. And if you look at it systematically, first thing was to solve the spectrum issues. Through a major reform package, practically all the spectrum related matters have been resolved. Today, industry can have a very proper, stable spectrum regime. Second thing was to have very rapid rollout of 5G, because we don't want to be left behind in this world which is changing rapidly. I'm very happy to share with you, today we are among the top 3 5G ecosystems in the world. Already we are at 390,000 sites within one short year. 1st October of 2022 is when Honorable Prime Minister launched 5G. And today we are at 390,000, which is like more than US, more than Europe. That is the kind of scenario we have reached within 1 year. The most satisfying thing is that close to 80% of the equipments which are used in this 5G rollout are all made in India. They are all manufactured in India. A large part of the design value is also made in India, designed in India. And above all, a very big challenge that our Prime Minister had thrown on us was that why can't we make our end-to-end telecom technology stack, a 4G, 5G stack, which we can tomorrow think of exporting. And very happy to share with you, our 4G, 5G technology stack has got developed. It has started, it has been tested, and now it has started getting deployed. Around Diwali, 4G, 5G would be launched. Homegrown 4G, 5G technology stack will be launched. And by next Diwali, we would become exporters of telecom technology. Already, we have already become exporters of telecom equipment. Close to 6,000 crore rupees worth exports have already happened. Close to 14 countries where we are exporting telecom equipment, which are designed in India, made in India. And this is a growth story which is extremely satisfying.
We were speaking about stacks. So I'm obviously, if you look at the example of the India stack in fintech, one of the things that really helped India become the leader, and India is clearly at the vanguard. I think this is a question that no one will debate when it comes to the fintech sector, was the emergence of a lot of private startups, a lot of new companies, a significant representation of the private sector in that. Are we seeing the same thing in telecom manufacturing?
Absolutely. Telecom manufacturing, see, Professor Raghuram Rajan has this whole point about value addition, right? He forgets one very critical thing. The value that is added in design, that he is not computing. For example, when Google Pixel, they announced their manufacturing, if you look at a plain math, the number would be smaller. But if you look at the design value which has got added in the most complex of the all components, which is the tensor chip, which is the heart of the Google Pixel phone, that tensor is designed where? The tensor chip is designed in India. Today it is fabricated outside, and tomorrow it will be even fabricated in the country. So the critics have their way of trying to denounce what is happening, but the reality is the value addition in electronics components is very high today. A complete component ecosystem is getting developed. A complete design ecosystem is getting developed. Take the case of semiconductors. With the first plant, which is getting set up, Micron plant, already 5 large component manufacturers have decided to set up their base in India. And when we look at the advantages that we have, clean energy, very stable policy regime, low cost of labor, very high talent, high quality talent available, and a very good design ecosystem which is available today. The world would like to set up their base in India for a multiple number of components. We are seeing that story unfold day by day. Today, one large manufacturer is going to come and discuss with me. I mean, it's a story where component after component, companies want to set up their global hub in India.
If you look at the IT ecosystem and the emergence of electronics manufacturing all over the world, we've generally noticed three things. The countries that are most successful in it have very thriving and strong domestic markets, so there is local demand. They offer the right kind of incentives at the right kind of time. I know there are some critics of the PLI schemes that we have, but my view is that it's something that is extremely important to get an industry up and running. But the third and the most important thing is for the industry itself to become competitive. So if you look at electronics manufacturing, how competitive are we, and what are the factors that give us a competitive edge?
5 factors which are very important in making us competitive. First, availability of design ecosystem, which is not there in many of the other countries which are trying to compete, right? I won't take names. Second, very high quality talent. And our Skill India program, the way it has created an ecosystem for developing talent. Very recently, one SMT line was launched for manufacturing very complex components of laptops. And that SMT line is run by a girl trained on SMT under the Skill India program. She's coming from Kanpur. And the confidence of that young girl, it's like you should talk to that person, then you'll understand what kind of confidence that person is having. Coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities and running a world-class SMT line, that's the confidence which our young kids have today. That's the second point. The third is very, very highly competitive cost of labor. And even if we scale up 20 times today or 100 times today, the cost of labor is going to remain competitive. I can say that. Fourth, huge investment in infrastructure, which is reducing the overall cost of doing business in terms of your shipping time, in terms of your internal logistics, in terms of the cost of power. All those things are reducing. Rapidly they are reducing. All those costs are coming down today. Fifth and foremost is, as you very rightly pointed out, a very important domestic market, a very large domestic market, which gives the ability for companies to test out their products in a large market so that they can, in a sense, first conquer that market, be stable in that market, and then start exporting. For example, the telecom equipment. Because our 5G rollout is so good, most of the equipments which are designed in India, manufactured in India for Indian conditions, are today now getting manufactured and exported to, my apologies, I think in my previous point I said 14 countries. It's 70 countries to which telecom equipment is getting exported. That's the change which has come.
I'm going to move a little bit to a related area, which is really DPI. My view is that DPI has helped us in two ways. One, of course, is the sheer strength that it adds to governance. It just makes everything far more efficient. And the second thing is, I think it's in some ways added to what I'd like to call India's own street cred. You know, globally, the fact that people are looking at something which is such an innovative and an efficient way of delivering things, of enabling transactions, of making sure that government schemes are reach the right kind of recipient, reducing wastage. I think it's helped in that. Can you tell us a little bit of how we are building on this now?
Absolutely. It's one of those great success stories where people like Dr. Chidambaram, they used to laugh at it, and now I'm sure they also recognize what value of Digital India is. When Prime Minister launched Digital India, the thought process was to create an ecosystem where the public and the private sectors, they can collaborate in a way which opens up digital technologies to a large number of people. which opens up the creative energies of the people and which democratizes technology. The whole focus was on making sure that that technology is democratized, technology reaches the last village in the country, technology reaches every section of the society, rich or poor. That thought itself is very different from many developed countries, which practically think that, okay, technology means for the rich, then slowly it will percolate down to middle classes, then it will go down to the poorer, lower income people. This was totally reversed by our Prime Minister in his thinking and in his vision and the way he executed. So today we have a concept which is established, proven, rolled out on a very large population scale, and today accepted by the world. In the recently concluded G20 session, DPI has been accepted by the world as the way forward for rolling out digital solutions for the societies. And I'll take a couple of minutes to explain the entire concept. We use public funds for creating a platform. This platform is interoperable, it is open access, it is available to everybody to join. So let's take the example of the UPI, the payment stack. The payment core is developed, the platform is developed by the government funds using a government company called NPCI. Banks join it, payment companies join it, insurance companies join it, small and medium traders, they join it, and more than 40 crore users join it. Today, anybody can start a payment solution. The result is the transaction cost, which used to be about $8 for a typical financial transaction, like let's say acquiring a customer for insurance, that has come down to few cents. That's a huge change. So what happens is, in that process, technology gets democratized. So it is possible to bring technological solutions to people with lower income, people who cannot afford to go to a large financial organization. They also get the benefit of technology. So today our stack, which is Aadhaar, DigiLocker, payment stack, combined, these three can create any kind of solution. So that's why we have got a big success in health platform today. We have got very good traction for the e-commerce platform ONDC. We are getting very good traction for the logistics platform. So in a sense, sector after sector, we are able to replicate this solution. And the world is taking a notice. Even Japan wants to replicate our payment system. France wants to do that. Germany, the German digital minister tried out UPI when he was there in Bangalore for the G20 meeting. It's a story which is today accepted all over the world, and it is bringing a big change in our own lives. One small statistic. Just by using our payment system and Aadhaar authentication and Jan Dhan accounts, the government has saved, and it's people's money, people have saved 2.7 lakh crore rupees in properly executing the benefits which go directly to the people. Otherwise, that much money was getting wasted. It's a huge amount.
A lot of things that you spoke about on DPI side, but also on the IT and telecom manufacturing side, a lot of that also requires the right kind of regulatory environment that you have. We need to have the kind of rules in place that will protect customer data, that will protect a country's data sovereignty, that will ensure a customer's privacy, but at the same time facilitate innovation. We have, in the last year, moved forward on a lot of these areas. How good do you think our regulatory regime is? And as a follow-up, The important thing about regulatory regimes is that as technology changes, it needs to be flexible enough and dynamic enough to move with that. Do you think we've put in place the kind of building blocks that can do that?
Absolutely. That's one of the very big challenges that we are very successfully tackling. If you look at the world, there are two big thought processes. One is huge control. Second is total liberal kind of thinking in which no control. I think both the ways of thinking are imperfect. A better solution, which is more realist, would be creating a regulatory framework which makes sure that innovation is getting its due, but simultaneously it ensures that people's rights, people's privacy, and the way our society should be transitioning through this digital transition, that should be properly managed. And I think we have been able to very clearly demonstrate that yes, it is possible to have a solution through our TPDP, the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill. We are creating a framework where we have three major bills, three major pieces of legislation, which will be the complete guardrail for the entire digital world. The Telecom Bill, the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill, and the Digital India Bill. And good work has been done on all the three. And I think as we go forward, we should be able to create a digital ecosystem where people would like to innovate and citizens would feel, yes, they are properly protected. Many of the old constructs, like the construct of having a unfettered safe harbor, like a construct of platforms not taking any responsibility, like the construct of platforms themselves becoming like parliament. They creating their own rules and regulations. We shared that book by Ruskin, so the Digital Republic book that you shared, and thank you for giving that book, sharing that book with me. Instead of that, we should have that sovereignty of a country should be in the country's parliament, in the hands of the country's parliament. That should not be taken away by a digital platform which exercises too much of control on a society's future. That shouldn't happen. So those things we are able to today bring to a level where there is a very good, proper balance.
Moving to the subject of chips, which you spoke about some time back. And I think this is an area where people were already aware of how lopsided the controls were, but it's the pandemic has obviously made countries realize the importance of things such as nearshoring and having control of the supply chain, especially given the disruptions that we've seen starting with the pandemic, and since then we've had more geopolitical disturbances that have also caused supply chain disruptions. How can India become a significant player in the global chip ecosystem? Where do you see the opportunities? I know that we already have a significant presence on the design side of things. But on the rest of it, if you look at the kind of control that Taiwan, for instance, currently has, how do you think India can enter this space, and how do you see this industry evolving?
Semiconductors are a foundational industry, and India will become a major player in semiconductor industry going forward. On 1st January 22, our semiconductor policy was approved by a Prime Minister, and it was launched. Within a short time frame of 1.5 years, we have the first semiconductor chip manufacturing plant of Micron, one of the top 5 companies in the world, getting constructed as we speak today. That's the rapid pace at which we have moved. I'll give a picture of the entire industry. The entire industry globally is about $650 billion. It's going to double in the next 6 to 7 years, more than $1 trillion. The industry is evolving in a very interesting way. If you would have this discussion, let's say 4 years back, smaller the nanometer, better it is. That was the trend. everything was moving in a direction which was like smaller is better. People were thinking of sub 1 nano, which is in angstroms. People were thinking in that direction. Today, the semiconductor industry has evolved in a totally different way, because there is a huge explosive growth of telecom industry in the world with 5G. There is a rapid exponential growth of electric vehicles. There is a rapid growth of adapting semiconductor chips for control of our domestic appliances like refrigerators, practically everything in the household, even a small little thing like a fan, that also has semiconductor chips today. All those things have created a very large segment which is basically compound semiconductors, and the industry believes that that will be about close to half the market going forward. And that is a market where there is no dominant player at this point of time. The entire industry is moving towards that market. Many countries are trying to create a niche in that market, because very small nanometers, 4 nanometers, 7 nanometers, that is already, there is one large dominant country and one large dominant company. So when we look at our strengths and analyze our capabilities, the biggest strength that we have today is in design. The second big strength that we have today is in clean power, green power. The third large strength that we have is in ability to handle very complex liquids and chemicals. These are three large strengths which places us in a sweet spot where we can not only have our own fabs, but also become a player which is designing as well as manufacturing chips. There are players in the world, there are countries in the world which have only manufacturing capability, very little design capability. There are some players who are very strong in design, but no manufacturing capability. We in India today are in a sweet spot where we can become both design as well as manufacturers. That is the direction in which we are going. And we have carved out a segment which is rapidly growing, and that segment is going to be almost half the entire semiconductor demand. So that segment we have carved out, and we are focusing on that segment to become a large player in that market. It's a very difficult industry because the technology changes rapidly. The prices are like vicious cycles are there. Very high and then very low. So those kind of cycles are there in this commodity. So we will have to play very carefully. We'll have to assiduously build this industry, and we'll have to take a long-term view. And that's what our Prime Minister has clearly guided us. His vision is that we should think of a plan for 20 years. We should not think of 4-year or 5-year plan. The very large component that we have added in our plan, which is very different from rest of the world, that is our commitment to develop 80,000 talent as a part of our semiconductor program. And our entire semiconductor program is run by world's best professionals. They are running the program, and that's why we are seeing such a good success in the semiconductor program. Going forward, we will see at least 2 large fabs delivering world-class technology for electric vehicles, for telecom sector, for power electronics, and for laptops and servers. We will be seeing that, and as we consolidate and build upon the early success, I can tell you in another 5 years from now, India will be seen as a major semiconductor design and manufacturing hub.
I'm going to make you wear your other hat now, which is the rail minister, because just like we have broken a lot of new ground in electronics manufacturing, I think one of the most significant successes that we've been seeing is the one on high-speed trains. It's an area where India was an early innovator with the Rajdhani, but then there came a period of atrophy. There's no better word of describing it. When we just didn't bother about creating high-speed trains, and it's something that has an impact on a lot of things, even urban development, for instance, right? I mean, if you want to develop the NCR region, you really need high-speed trains to develop the NCR region. That way you will ensure that congestion reduces, pollution reduces, quality of life improves. So tell us a little bit about India's high-speed train journey.
So I'll start with the conceptual thinking. If you look at a high-speed network, we should not look at it as a rail network or an infrastructure project. A high-speed network, rail network, basically creates a large economy. For example, I'll give the example of Tokyo to Osaka. When you move from Tokyo to Osaka, Tokyo, Nagoya, Kobe, Kyoto, and Osaka. These 5 economies, they become one large economy. It's not 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3. It becomes 1 plus 1 plus 1, 111. It's a multiplier effect. Because a person who is a component manufacturer in Kobe can then go to Nagoya and sell the components to Toyota. A person who is a designer sitting in Kyoto can very rapidly interact with the people who are manufacturers in Osaka. That's the thinking which we need to understand why high-speed railway is so important. There are critics who would look at the cost and who would say that no, our country is better off doing something else. No, the multiplier impact of a high-speed rail needs to be seen at the conceptual level first. First, we need to understand that as a concept. So, when we develop the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed corridor, and in subsequent future there will be many more such corridors, what we are doing in essence is we are connecting Mumbai, Thane, Vapi, Baroda, Ahmedabad, in between Surat, Ahmedabad, Anand, all these large economies which in themselves are very vibrant and rapidly growing, they all become one large economy. They all start reinforcing each other. All these big economic centers, they start adding to each other. That's the power of a high-speed railway network. That's what we should look at when we look at why our Prime Minister has put so much focus on creating this new technologies and developing this new corridors. So let's take Vande Bharat. Now from Kerala, if you take the example of Kerala, from Kasaragod to Trivandrum, there are 6 large cities which are coming in. Now all these 6 cities, they become one city. They become like one large economy. They start feeding into each other. Let's take the case of Bangalore to Chennai. Now Bangalore to Chennai, people are preferring Vande Bharat trains rather than going by a flight. And as we further improve the tracks, the time will further reduce. So that's the power which comes when a person can very conveniently sit in a train, continue to work on the laptop or enjoy a book, and very comfortably and safely reach the destination, do the work, and then come back to the train. So the way we are thinking is, going forward, many of these large transportation and economic hubs, they get connected by high-speed, high-frequency train services. For example, if you take the example of Chennai and Bangalore as the hubs, 2 large hubs, practically every hour there should be a train which takes you from one place to the other. Then you don't have to think of booking. Then you don't have to think of okay, what should I do? Your mind is clearly focused on the work that you do best. And let the transportation people take care of what they do best. That's the conceptual thinking that we are working on. And as to fulfill this concept, there are multiple elements. What are those elements? The first element is getting the right trains designed in India, manufactured in India, and for use in India today and for exporting tomorrow. So Vande Bharat train is a great example of that. The train is fully designed in India. It's a notch better than many other globally best trains on multiple parameters. On the parameter of noise in the train, sound in the train. Sound level is actually 100 times less than sound in an aeroplane. The vibration level, if you compare the best in the world, the vibration levels are lower than the best in the world. The acceleration is better than the bullet train. So that's the kind of thought process which has gone in designing this train. Second, making sure that the platforms are today world class, the stations are world class, because that's where the huge congregation of passengers happens. As it's like a spike for a particular few hours, there will be huge spike, then there will be a lull. So we have to design our stations in that way. Then making sure that the stations are connecting both sides of the city. Cities have grown beyond what they were 50 years back. All these things are getting implemented one by one. Today we are developing 1,300 stations to become world class. Very few months back, Honorable Prime Minister laid the foundation for 508 stations on one single day. I think that's a world record. 508 stations getting redeveloped, and out of that 300 plus are already showing good progress in the work today. Vande Bharat train manufacturing has now scaled up to a level where we are rolling out practically one train every week. In parallel, we have a large stock of old generation coaches, almost 40,000 of them. So we are creating a new concept. We haven't yet given it a name. We are creating a new concept where these old coaches can be refurbished to a level which is very good, very comfortable, very convenient, and they can then be run at a significantly higher speed with with better comfort, and they can also complete their entire life of 35 years. A coach has a life of 35 years. So we cannot throw them out. We need to use that asset which has been created using public money. So we are creating that concept also. The first part of that concept is already developed, two push-pull locomotives, which basically get fitted on both sides of the train, one on the front and one on the rear. So it becomes one complete train set. And we are working on the design for the coaches. Very soon we should have that design out. So in a sense, overall, making sure that passengers get good comfort, train journey is comfortable, and I can say with good level of confidence that the way our Prime Minister has focused on railway as a sector, and he is emotionally connected with it. Remember, a large part of his childhood, our Prime Minister spent on the railway platform. He is so connected with railway. I've personally gone to Vadnagar and seen the stall that he was running, the tea stall that he was running. He has that emotional connect, and he has that very clear focus on where our railway should be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. So he has given huge impetus and huge support in transforming the railways. And because of the support that he has given, we are able to lay 5,000 kilometers of new tracks now every year, 14 kilometers per day. Last year we did 5,200 kilometers of new tracks. That is more than the entire network of Switzerland. And one final point I would like to make, which is very important from our strategic thinking point of view. Today, our country does about 4,000 million ton of cargo. Out of that, railway does about 1,500 million tons. As we go forward by 2030, we'll be doing about 8,000 million tons of cargo. Imagine if this entire cargo were to be done on trucks using diesel. How much dependence will be there on Middle East and other countries for oil. But what our Prime Minister has thought through with a deep, long thinking is, first he electrified the railways. So today, by another, we'll practically become 100% electrified. So our dependence on diesel for railways is gone. Then adding more cargo carrying capacity to railways by laying new tracks, by manufacturing more locomotives, manufacturing more wagons. By this process, we can shift a large part of our cargo from road to rail. And by shifting that large part of cargo from road to rail, in effect, what we are achieving is energy independence. That's the big strategic thought with which our government is working, our Prime Minister is guiding us. And that's the direction in which we are moving. By 2030, we would have shifted a large part of cargo close to certainly more than 3,000 million tons to rail. And by that process, we'll reduce our dependence on oil, imported oil, to a significant level. So it's a very huge strategic thinking, large part, multiple pieces in the entire puzzle, where all the pieces are today working in one good harmonious way for changing the passenger experience and shifting cargo to rail.
Thank you very much. I think you've laid out a very clear map which will help people understand what's happening in terms of IT and electronics manufacturing, and also in terms of what the future of rail networks in this country is. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnaw. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's it. See you tomorrow for more exciting sessions. Stay tuned.
A vision becomes a milestone when it helps make our lives richer with love and laughter. When it helps make a cleaner, smarter, and a more beautiful planet. So that you can set off on joyous new journeys and adventures. Building stronger bonds and bridging impossible distances, which take you from the ever new to the forever beautiful. Opening up vistas and windows to a vibrant new world. A vision becomes a milestone when it touches millions of lives. Aditya Birla Group. Big in your life.
is the core of positive change and adaptation. Evolve is the soul of the universe and is deeply connected to us and the actions around us. There will be one thing that will last forever: evolution. Be a part of the business evolution of India. WTC, World Trade Center, Delhi at Nauroji Nagar. And be a part of the global culture. We keep our accomplishments fresh and we keep innovating this space. We are driven by the Government of India's vision to drive growth for India. We had a dream to bring the best of the world to India. And we had the vision to create a majestic, holistic and exclusive reality. Be a part of one of India's largest commercial space revolutions. WTC, World Trade Center, Delhi at Nauroji Nagar. The World Trade Center offers exceptional connectivity to all parts of the city. It is closely connected to places like Lutyens, Delhi, and its proximity to the airport makes it even more appealing. A luxurious, upscale and 12 towers offering the most technologically advanced office space and modern features in the city. Meticulously planned and crafted 12 towers. A landmark project with a massive land span of over 34 lakh square feet area. Infused with all the modern amenities with intelligent designs, green spaces and high-end facilities. Built with a vision, planned for a greener today and tomorrow. Dedicated spaces for cultural activities, F&B courts, boardrooms, health centers, multi-layered securities and modern parking facilities, to name a few. With 24-hour security, state-of-the-art facilities and an impressive list of features for your business, there would be parking space for 8,000 cars. Our commercial office spaces will meet your needs to grow and expand. The spacious floor plans offers a unique, individualized workspace and ample natural light throughout the workday. All our locations in WTC will include state-of-the-art healthcare services, fitness centers, so you can get the most out of your workspace. A reality shaping, rising, shining and standing tall. The dream place for businesses and hospitality. A reflection of supremacy. A hub for businesses to flourish and thrive. Live the dream. Lead the way. Showcase, collaborate and succeed. Be a part of the business evolution. Be a part of global trade revolutions. Many big corporates have already marked their presence at WTC Delhi. Bookings are open. Book your space now. It is a fact of life that every coin has two sides. In our case, people are just familiar with one, and that is of being a money lender to the railway sector. So here is an eye-opener. At Indian Railway Finance Corporation, we nurture millions of dreams. The dreams that are powered with new ideas, will and ambition to be on top of the world. We are committed to creating a conducive environment for the railway sector to grow unhindered. Right from planning to backing up its construction to modernization, funding of high-capacity wagons, coaches and high-speed locomotives,
औषधि केंद्रों पर मिलने वाली दवाओं की कीमत बाजार में जो दवाएं मिलती हैं उसी क्वालिटी की, लेकिन जन औषधि केंद्र में 50% से 90% तक उसकी कीमत कम होती है।
भारतीय जन औषधि परियोजना के अंतर्गत अब तक देश भर में हजारों जन औषधि केंद्र खोले जा चुके हैं, जहां पर 1800 से अधिक दवाइयां और 285 सर्जिकल उपकरण बहुत ही कम कीमतों पर उपलब्ध हैं। अधिक जानकारी के लिए जन औषधि सुगम मोबाइल ऐप को डाउनलोड करें या टोल फ्री नंबर 1800-180-8080 पर कॉल करें।
जोड़ना है तुझे ऊंचा, परों को खोल के रख, कसौटी वक्त की है, हौसलों को तोल के रख। ऊंची है दीवारें, लंबी है डगर, ना है हमराही, ना है हम सफर।
खरगोन हमारे R&R प्लान में लोग हर साल जो आसपास की ग्रामीण महिलाएं हैं उनको टेलरिंग का क्लास कराते हैं। जो स्कूल बैग्स भी हम लोग हर साल बांटते थे, 850-900 के लगभग स्कूल बैग्स भी बांटते थे, वो बैग्स भी हमने इनसे स्टिच कराए।
सक्षम बनना चाहते थे, हम हमारे पैरों पे खड़ा होना चाहते थे। तो हमने एक बार मीटिंग की, मीटिंग में बोला कि सर हम इतना कार्य सीखे हैं तो हमको दुकान खुलवा के दो। तो दुकान खुलवा के दिया।
हमको यहाँ दुकान मिलने के बाद हमने सोचा कि हम यहाँ जो भी कार्य करते हैं, जो भी चीज़ें बनाते हैं, उन चीज़ों पर हमारे ब्रांड का नाम क्या है, और हमने सोचा कि हम हमारे ब्रांड का नाम सक्षम इसलिए रखा कि हम आगे बढ़े और हमें देख के महिला और लड़कियाँ भी आगे बढ़े।
अभी आगाज है तेरा, बहुत कुछ सीखना है, कमर कसनी अभी बाकी है, मुट्ठी भींचना है। अभी आगाज है तेरा, बहुत कुछ सीखना है।
हमने फिर इनको अपना एक जो हमारा गर्ल एम्पावरमेंट मिशन का एक प्रोग्राम होता है, उसमें उसके जो बालिकाएं थीं उनका ड्रेस भी हमने इन्हीं से स्टिच कराया, और वो प्रोग्राम में वो ड्रेसेस बहुत सक्सेसफुल थी, लोगों ने उनको बहुत अप्रिशिएट किया। नेक्स्ट लेवल पे हम ये प्लान कर रहे हैं कि इनको हम जो इंडस्ट्रियल स्टिचिंग मशीनें होती हैं वो हम इनको ला के देंगे। इन्हीं जो हमने इन बच्चों को जो ट्रेन किया है, दे विल बिकम, हमारा ये एक तरीके से एम्बेसडर का काम करे। और हमारा TPC का जो विज़न है कि हम पावर जनरेशन के साथ साथ हम आसपास के लोगों का भी केयर करते हैं, इसमें भी हम सफल हो पाएंगे। धन्यवाद।
इतिहास लिखने के लिए कलम की नहीं, हौसलों की जरूरत होती है।
थैंक यू NTPC खरगोन।